proper hello to you, Flutter. I assume you're probably going to spend most of the stream lurking, but I super appreciate it. And as I said, I hope you're feeling better. Woof! Thank you so much! 3 months. As evidenced in the chat, you're one of my first subscribers. I don't know if I have the voice to text on. Millions of secrets for me, millions of secrets, please give them to me. I mean, that depends on how closely you watch the streams. Although, keep in mind, apparently, the word of the day is yurt. Keep in mind that everything may change during edits. So how many secrets do you really have? You actually have more than most to start. Thank you so much for the 3 months, for being one of my original subscribers. I really appreciate it. It actually means the world to me. I know everybody says that, but and I'm sure everybody means it, but I really, really mean it. It's not just words that come out of my mouth. I had no idea when I started doing this that anyone would show up at all. And the fact that some of you show up again and again, day after day, week after week, it just blows my mind. And it's funny because today we're going to write a short story, which is what I started doing this whole crazy thing with in the first place. So hooray. I guess I should put this on. Try listening to the music today. How's the sound balance? If anything gets too weird, let me know. So, as we've covered before, I post short stories on my blog every other week. Every other week, it's a short story. Every other week, it's a blog. I used to do it. I used to actually update blogs on Mondays and freebies on Fridays, but it ended up just being, the schedule was too much and I couldn't keep up with it. So I switched to just one blog a week. You can see today's, this week's blog post that went up on Monday was a short Let Down Your Long Stare. It's one of my Darkling fairy tales, which focuses on fairy tale objects after their original story is finished. So it's been things like the magic mirror from Snow White, and the pea from Princess and the Pea, and the spindle from the spinning wheel and Sleeping Beauty. And this one is Rapunzel's severed hair from Rapunzel, because if you know, of course, the Rapunzel story, the witch chops off her hair in order to prevent the prince from continuing to ascend to meet with his beloved. If you've read the original Rapunzel, it's actually, I feel like, one of the harsher stories, because they're like, I believe she goes blind and there's a lot of like wandering in the desert. It's one of the bad ones. I mean, if you read the Brothers Grimm version of Cinderella, which, by the way, there is a story featuring the glass slipper from Cinderella on my blog as well. If you read the Brothers Grimm version of Cinderella, the evil sisters get their eyes pecked out as well, going back and forth from the wedding. So much darker versions of the stories than we're used to, and I've definitely continued on the dark bent, and I actually think this is one of the darker. Actually had a moment after I wrote this one where I was like, I think that may have been one of the darkest things I've ever written. So there's definitely, I've definitely continued in the vein of the original stories. I've definitely, now I didn't necessarily set out to do it that way. I didn't necessarily sit down and be like, how dark can I take this? I just kind of let each of them go where it was going to go, and dark is where they went. So I was like, you know what? We're just going to embrace the fact that these are darker fairy tales, a la the original themes of fairy tales, and it's been fun. I've mentioned before that I mostly do these for fun. It's something that keeps me fresh if I'm starting to feel burnt out from a project or bogged down in details or whatever. It's a chance for me to basically free my mind and just write whatever silly, wild, or dark thing comes into it. And this year, I've decided to, I'm announcing the project now. I've decided to do something that I'm calling 22 Stories in 2022. I went back and looked at how many stories I wrote in 2021, and it was 22. The way that it ends up working out math-wise is 52 weeks in a year. So half of those are stories that go up on my blog. I do obviously take vacations, like take hiatus weeks where I don't post anything on my blog, so it's not an exact number. And obviously, because I've already started posting shorts that I wrote last year, they won't all go up on the blog in 2022. But I figure as long as I write them all in 2022, that'll fit the criteria. I do keep a 5-week buffer of shorts. So the last 5 or 6 stories will probably go up in 2023 in January. As it will probably take me until February or mid-February, possibly the end of February, depending on on how things go. So they won't get posted in 2020, what year is it? 2022, but they'll be written in 2022. Yeah, it feels like something that I can do across the year that's not super ambitious, but is definitely challenging. I sometimes go through phases with my shorts where like I've used them to write serial shorts. I did a couple stories with my necromancer that everybody loves, Asthma. I love him too, but he doesn't talk to me very much. So I did some shorts with that. I've tried just some random other serial stories. I wrote a story about some mountains that actually move. There's one about a ghost haunting a laundry room. I also do my random picture prompts, which is basically where I go find a picture on a stock photo site and I just write whatever comes into my head when I look at it, whatever feels inspiring. That was what actually led to the Darkling fairy tales. I found a picture of someone looking in a mirror, and I turned that into Mirror, Mirror on the Wall, which was the first of the Darkling tales. Asthma is the best. He is the best. I love him so much. There are some characters that I wish would really talk to me more because I want to schedule Asthma. Now, Asthma is going to have novels someday, and I really wish he would tell me his story so I could, like, schedule when I'm going to write it. But he's very chill. I will say he is going to be in the 5th trilogy of the Aravalia Chronicles. So the last book in my brain. So that's gonna be interesting. That'll be his first like canon appearance in a novel. All good things to those who wait. Exactly. And he will, I'm sure, eventually, because the multiverse reveals itself to me slowly, I'm sure he will eventually tell me my story. Another one that I really wish kind of talked to me more is Silkfoot, because his story weaves in and out of the Aravalia Chronicles, and he's supposed to eventually get a spin-off that sort of explains what's going on in the background with him. There are, like, all these little hints of what he and his first mate are up to, and they occasionally cross paths with the main cast and end up getting involved in each other's antics. And I really wish that I could figure out, like, the core of what Silkfoot is up to so that I could, like, schedule that into the writing process. But Silkfoot is one of those characters who's like, I'm up to something, but I'm not ready for you to know what it is yet. I do sometimes write little shorts that do involve my main cast of characters, just things to keep me in touch with them while I'm not working on their big projects, to give me a chance to explore something that I want to try out, or, you know, that I'm not entirely sure will make it into novels. I do have a couple shorts that actually have gotten translated into novels, or that I'm planning to actually translate into the novels later, because it turns out they just end up fitting in the timeline and being useful. But specifically for the 21 or 22 stories for 2022, I want to focus on the multiverse. So I want them to all be things that are canon, like within my main body of work, which only I really know the shape of right now. But I don't necessarily want to focus on my main cast. So I don't necessarily want to focus on Dameron or Asma or Silkfoot or any of those main people. It's fine if they pop up in the background as like side characters for the shorts, but I want to try and sort of I want to sort of just focus on other stuff, developing other background areas of the multiverse. And I think it's a really good idea because at this point in time, nobody really knows much about the multiverse except for me, so I can post them all on my blog and there won't be any spoilers, and it won't, like, people can read them and enjoy them and not be spoiling anything that's going to come up in a future novel. And then when those novels are out, people can come back and read them again and be like, oh, okay, I see how those puzzle pieces start to fit together. I'm not going to keep it as, like, a really strict rule, because if I get a really, really good idea for a character and I just can't resist writing it, I might just let myself do it. Sometimes you gotta write when the inspiration is there. But, you know, so I'm setting myself a couple of loose rules, basically, that I want to write it in 2022, obviously, that I want it to fit in my multiverse as canon, and that I want to keep the main characters as sort of in the background, cameo appearances, and not really the main focus of the stories. That's it. Those are the three. Super simple. I'm basing it on the 31 Stories in 31 Days project that's been going on in January, which I know a lot of our writing friends that stream have been working on. I know Weirdwind's been doing it and has been keeping up really well. So if I look it up, 31 Stories in 31 Days, I believe it's this one. So there's always 2 prompts for each day, and they're optional. They're completely optional. Obviously, if I'm only doing 22 stories, that gives me ample opportunity to skip some that just don't sing to me. Originally, when I looked through these, I didn't feel like a lot of the prompts sang to me, but it was the sort of thing where, and this is how it often is with me and writing prompts, is I walked away and thought about them, and all of a sudden I was like, oh wait, I could actually do something with that, which is, I think, one of the good thing about writing prompts is that, like, even if on the surface you're like, I don't really know if I feel that, you usually can, if you take a minute, you usually can come up with something or think of something, or your brain will usually do something with the idea if left to idle. So I believe this is where they get posted every day. If this isn't the official one, this is the one I've found. But if we scroll all the way back, because obviously they've gone quite far with them already. Here is day 1 was your cat warns you that there's a volcano erupting nearby, or as mesmerizing as the brilliant burst of color skyrocketing from the mountaintop appeared, the threat was clear. So the first prompt is essentially here's an idea for a scene, and the second prompt is use this sentence or part of the sentence within the prompt or as the beginning of within the scene or at the beginning of the scene. I'm actually going to go with the cat warning someone that a volcano is erupting. Actually have cat, please. Yes, we're doing the cat one. One of the other things that I decided, and I didn't make it a hard and fast rule, but one of the other things I decided for these story prompts is I want to go full crazy. If the opportunity's there to do something super crazy that I wouldn't normally do because I would feel like, no, that won't fly because it won't make sense, I absolutely found a way to fit this into my multiverse, and even though what I'm planning to write is gonna seem fully insane, it works, and I'm super on top of it. So I'm gonna go with the cat one. I don't know that I've planned beyond the first prompt, but that's okay because I'm only writing one prompt today. I'm thinking I'm gonna go with the standing on the precipice one for the next prompt, just because I like that prompt. I haven't really planned too much beyond that. Although I do like A Year Without Summer seems like an interesting prompt as well. So yeah, this is a nice little, and I think it's cool that they post these because, I mean, even if you're not doing the 31 stories specifically in January, you can do them at another time, right? So I also like this one, Moments of Perfection Are Rare, because I think that's another just really interesting prompt for getting into someone's head. So yeah, we're gonna start with the cat prompts. And I actually, if I not to flash too much on my website here, but I actually, no one's going to know this except the people who are listening to this right now, but I actually want to tie this in with I think it was my very first or hang on, I clicked on the wrong thing. Where's my random picture prompts? I want to tie it in with my very first random picture prompt. I think it was my first one. Yes, this is the time for secrets. It wasn't my first one, okay. It was one of the earliest ones. It was the first one I picked to do, but I didn't write it first. So it's this one, which is called Frozen, because I didn't bother coming up with a more dynamic name. So this is on my blog. I think most of the people watching right now have read this already, but that's where you can read it. So this was actually the very first picture that I picked to do a random picture prompt with, even though it wasn't the first one I wrote. And this actually fits in as canon, as part of my multiverse. It's not clear how on its own. I shouldn't say it doesn't make sense, but it's not clear how it fits in on its own. But it makes sense to me because I know things. And the idea is basically that these explorers have found this giant, what seems like a frozen ice statue, an impossible frozen ice statue in the middle of this like barren icy wasteland, and they've undertaken an expedition to go and explore it and find out what it is. Some people think that it's a frozen god or a frozen giant. And then it starts with them sort of speculating about what it could be, and then they get sort of inside the giant thing, and they start studying it and trying to figure out what it really is. And there's a sickness. Some of the explorers start to get sick. And so gotta go AFK for a few. No problem, Flutter. Take care. They go inside. It's cavernous inside. Not that kind of inside. Woof. Brain out of the gutter, please. Or inside the gutter. I mean, it can stay there. Really, let's be honest. We know it's not gonna change. But people start to get sick, and they do that typical human thing where instead of being reasonable about trying to find a cure and not going back out into the world and infecting everyone with an incurable disease. By the way, I wrote this very, very pre-pandemic. This was written in 2018, May of 2018. So a year and a half before COVID was a thing. And it's based on all, like, every sci-fi show has that episode where, like, they encounter that ancient disease that came up from the ice, and, like, they don't know what it is, and they're like, we have to prevent it from getting into the population, and they turn on each other, and they start to go insane and paranoia. It's basically that. That's basically what happens. And then the very last scene is basically aliens come up out of the caverns and are like, they killed themselves. That's what they always seem to do, and why can't these humans ever learn to not be idiots? Because it turns out that what this place really is an outpost for some alien scientists who are studying the way that these humans, these alien to them organics, react to certain situations. And so that's what this story is about. And the story that we're going to write today... Well, the story that we're going to write today is going to tie in with this prompt. So our cat volcano story is going to be related more directly to this than to... This is a story that fits into my multiverse, which Dameron is a part of, which all of my stories currently out are a part of. The only one I haven't fully connected to the multiverse yet is Eternity's Empire, but the connection is there. I'm just not sure where the wires actually connect, but I'm very close to figuring that out. Actually, I'm much closer than I have been in the past. I have theories. I mean, you can share your theories. I'm probably not going to confirm any of them, but I would love to hear them. But the story that we're going to write today is going to tie in pretty directly with this. So it's going to involve a talking cat and aliens and a volcano erupting. I figure that's pretty crazy. I figure pretty fun. Aliens and sickness. I mean, I think you already know the answer to that one. I think I really need to answer that because I think you already know. Sorry, I've been getting just so many eyelashes in my eyes lately. It just feels like every time I blink, a new eyelash falls near my eye. So I think I'm actually gonna call this story... I might change the name of it later. I often do. But I think I'm going to call it Not Again. And I'm going to call it 22 Stories for 2022. And then I typed 2021 because my brain... I swear by the time I figure out what year it is, it'll be the next year anyway. So, like... What's the point? Anyway... So Not Again, 22 Stories for 2022. Actually, I think I typed in 2202. So let me fix that so that it actually says 2022. Because I typed in 2202. That is definitely not the year. We're definitely not in 2202. Okay. So now I just basically... I have a sort of sketchy idea of what I want this scene to be. I have almost no plans, so it's going to be very interesting once I turn the timer on, because it could be either that my brain just explodes ideas onto the page, or it could be that I write 5 sentences and then just stare blankly. This might be the time when you guys get to finally see me just stare blankly at a page and be like, I don't know what I'm doing. Which happens a lot more often than you guys ever get to see, because I usually just don't stream those scenes. I usually just don't stream myself writing that stuff. I do want to peek at my outline so I can have some idea for later on in the stream when my next, when my streams next week will be. I think they're going to be Monday and Tuesday. think it might be Monday and Tuesday morning. That will line up with my scenes well. I know, this is not at all related to what I'm doing right now, and also, this is how writers procrastinate. Hang on, let me check my notes. Maybe there's something relevant in there that will save me from having to actually write words right now. If I was off stream, this is where I would go like, oh, hey, let me go listen to a song on YouTube, because that'll get my creative juices flowing. And then I would just listen to 4 more songs because they would be in the related videos. And I'd be like, oh yeah, I haven't listened to this song in a while. And oh, I really like this song. Sometimes the writer brain will latch on to any reason and every reason to procrastinate. Gonna freeze tonight, have to cover my plants, protect the succulents. Alright. I'm gonna be boringly silent for a minute while I think. I need a name, so maybe I'll start by coming up with a name so I don't have to do it while the sprint timer's on. Okay. Oh my god, you guys, there's a volcano name generator! I was like, we'll just see, we'll just check and see if there's a volcano name generator, because there's probably not. There is! 3 types of names. Short descriptive names that start with mount. Longer descriptive names, which could be used as more of a nickname for a specific volcano or mountain. The last 3 are randomized, which could have any meaning that you give it. Okay. Created with other cultures and languages in mind, so some names might be more brutal, guttural. Some may be gentle and melodic. All right. Mount Chatsack. Ooh, I like the name The Drumming Apex, although I don't know if it will work for this. Slag Precipice is a good one too. Hey, Bard Owl, how are you? I know, Mount Chatsack. That was what I was thinking too. I was like, Mount Chatsack, huh? I love the Slag Precipice too. I might actually... I actually just have a post-it note with names. I might actually save the good names for, like, other stories. Doing okay, working? Oh, that sucks. I hope, well, I guess you're in my time zone, eh? So I hope the end of the workday is approaching. I'm glad you're able to come hang out with us. I just announced my 22 stories in 2022, which is what we're working on now. And our prompt that we're using today is that a cat warns you that a volcano is exploding, essentially. An hour and a half until I'm done. Nice. Nice. Yeah, I would be counting the minutes too. And tomorrow is Friday. Let me write this down. I'm not gonna do Trofair, but I like maybe Tronafar? Maybe? I like too that you can get French names. Because sometimes that's more useful than others. Gallon water, interesting. I kept thinking yesterday was Friday, and boy was I disappointed. I kept thinking yesterday was Thursday. I had several minutes where, because I organize my tasks, like my day-to-day tasks, by weekday. So I always know on Wednesday I do this, this, and this. And on Thursday I do this, this, and this. And so I kept being like, oh, I've got to do this because it's Thursday. And then I'd be like, wait, no, it's Wednesday. I don't have to do that until tomorrow. I have to do this instead. And so I have no ears, just opening a tab to lurk while I go upstairs to work. Oh, hey, Vinyl. Thank you so much. Just in case Vinyl gets a chance to see that. But yeah, so I kept being like, no, I have to do this, this, and this. Because if I didn't do my Wednesday tasks, if I did my Thursday tasks instead, like, okay, fine. But then if I didn't do my Wednesday tasks, I would be behind because things go in a certain order. So yeah, I had several moments where I was like, why do I keep thinking that it's Thursday? Am I that desperate for the weekend that I just want to be one step closer? I have no idea what it was, but so maybe that's the thing, like, that your brain has just decided to advance. We've all just decided in our brains to advance the week. But I've had that happen a few times too, where I'm like, it's Friday, and I get midway through in the morning and I'm like, it's not Friday, and it sucks. At least with it being like, oh no, it's not Thursday, like whatever, Thursday, but it not being Friday sucks. I feel like my days are all messed up right now. Is it because of the weather, or just because of work, or like, I know you were sick recently, so I'm assuming it might have something to do with that. Ghost was mad at me last night because I said on stream yesterday that it had stopped snowing and warmed up and was starting to melt, and then we got a snowstorm and we got a bunch of snow last night. And he was like, this is your fault, you cursed us. And I was like, whatever, dude. But yeah, it snowed, and it's been a pretty great day today as well, so. The Snoring Heights, that's funny. Ellingduff? Tauntona, huh? Clariser. I like Tronifar. I think I'm gonna do one more set of names, and then I'll pick one. But I'm gonna need a couple character names, so I'll grab those. We'll do a couple minutes of name generation here, just so that I don't have to stop once I start the sprint timer. And we'll see how that goes. I think it's because I was out sick for a week and I've been working from home and working extra hard to catch up, so it feels like it should be Friday. Right, because you've hit like your productivity peak, which is a thing, by the way. You get to a point where you can't work any more hours in a week. If you do, it's diminishing returns. You can do, I think studies have shown it's like 50 hours is like your max. Like, you max out. It might even be less than that. Because it's not really worth companies trying to push you to have more than a 40-hour work week, because beyond the 40 hours, it takes twice as long to get anything done, and it's basically just diminishing returns for your energy. So keep that in mind. Make sure, unless they're paying you for all these extra hours, that you're taking care of yourself, because you will hit your productivity maximum, and it will suck. The Moaning Apex? Where's Flutter when you need her? Ooh, Stamray is a good one as well. Maybe we'll write that down. Alright, and let's see if we can get some... Let's see what the alien names are. Oh, they're for alien species. think the names that I use for these are sort of vowel heavy. Let's actually do, what is this? Concuts? That seems bad, yo. Let's try this, because this one actually has a consonant-heavy names. Yes, I know that one. Flutter is here. They really need to hire someone else. They do. I mean, it's super disrespectful of them that they expect you to do the work of 2 people in the long term. Like, ridiculously. Like, you just can't. I'm honestly considering just telling them they need to look for someone to fill my job so I can start looking for something else to hold me over for the next couple months. I mean, if you feel like you've hit breaking point, I would say, I know there's a lot to consider. If you have the money to get you through a potential pitfall and like you've hit your breaking point, it's worth considering. I know a lot of people right now are in positions where they have to keep working because they just can't pay rent if they don't. And I get that. I would never tell anyone in that kind of position to just up and quit their job because you got to eat. But yeah, if they're I don't understand these businesses that are like, we're going to get one person to do 5 people's jobs. You can't. It doesn't work that way. And what are they going to do when you quit? Are they going to hire someone to do... Are they just going to tell the new person that they hire that that's all one person's job? Like... Or if they had just hired someone else to do the other person's job, they might have been able to keep you on, and they wouldn't have had to train someone brand new. I don't understand the thinking. I don't understand what these companies are thinking. Turtless, that sounds like another name that Flutter would like. Dough thing might be a good... I don't know how many names I'm gonna need, so I'll just write down... Ramos. Hey, Tempest! How are you? What are you up to? I'm just getting some... I'm about to start writing a short story. I just introduced my 22 Stories in 2022 project, which is sort of inspired by the 31 Stories in 31 Days. And I'm about to start the first prompt. I'm just writing down some names so that once I start the sprint timer, I don't have to stop and look up names. I can't not work right now, but I'm at the point where I'm like, I will keep working here until I find something else, but they need to start looking, because if I'm going to have time to train someone properly... I mean, you could always just tell them straight up, if you don't hire someone else, I'm going to quit. They don't have to know that you're already planning to quit anyway. It could be worth a try to see if they'll hire someone to fill that position. If you're straight up like, I can't do this anymore, you need to hire someone else or I'm done. Either hire someone else to do the other job or hire someone else to do my job. If you think you can get away with that without them like point blank firing you, you know your bosses, right? I don't. I mean, it does make sense. I feel like you're looking out for the company even though they're not looking out for you, and they don't deserve you. They really don't. You know, but, I mean, you could, if you feel that way, if you feel indispensable, you could just point blank say, like, you guys gotta hire someone else or I'm done. Ooh, there's a name here called Snilch. I like that. Any of these names that I don't use in, like, this short story, I'll just save for another thing. Linton, that makes me think of, like, lint. My nickname is Lint. Maybe fonts. So you'll notice if you look, like here, I usually don't write the names down. Like I used this Bormos, I changed it into Bramos. Like I don't usually write them down one for one, but I use the name generator names as sort of like inspiration to figure out. While I've been working from home, they've been asking me how to do the simplest parts of my job that I can't do remotely. Oh no, that doesn't seem like a good sign. In all honesty, that does make it seem like they would be pretty screwed if you weren't around. But theoretically, couldn't you use that to get like to get them to treat you? I don't know. You would hope that you could get them to treat you better, but maybe not. Maybe they just don't. Tisk. Tisk, tisk, tisk. Culim. Correct. SOS. Nubbin. I think I've got a pretty good spread of names. I haven't put off starting this story for a while, so that'll be sufficient. I don't want to just leave them hanging, but I'm really at my breaking point. I mean, from what I've heard about what's going on with your job, Bard, I think it's fair. I think you've put up with way more than you ever should have been asked to put up with. And I don't think the company should be able to get away with jerking you around like that. Like, I seriously think they're being horrible to you. I was planning to have a conversation with my boss last Wednesday, but I was only there for an hour, half of which he wasn't even there yet, and they sent me home until I get a COVID test. Is there any way you could do, like, a phone conference with your boss and, like, have that conversation? Because it sounds like it's an important conversation to have. Bromos' real name was Steve, but since he was such a good bro to everyone, he earned the nickname Bromos. I like that. I don't think I can fit that lore into this story, but I think that's I think that's awesome. Now he's working from home too because he probably has COVID. Yeah, I mean, I would say see if you can pin him down for like a phone conference. Be like, we really need to have a conversation. Is there a time where we can like set aside a phone appointment or like a Zoom appointment or something? And see if you can have that conversation. Because I don't think it's an unfair ask. A heartfelt email, that could work too. And the good thing about email is that if you send him an email and you make very specific requests, you'll have his answer in writing. So like if he writes to you and says, yes, we will do this, this, and this, and then he doesn't do it, you have it in writing that he said that he would do that thing. Or if he's just like straight up no, then you have it in writing that he said no as well. Like, and then it's undeniable the answer, like he can't go back later and say that he said something else if you have it in writing. All right, we're gonna start this story. I don't know if I'm gonna get like 1,000 words out of the sprint or like 5, but we'll see. I'm thinking it's probably the route I'm going to go. It's not a bad idea. I would say take your work time to write that email, because it's a work-related email, by the way. But like I said, that way you have it in writing, you have what you've said, what requests, and I don't think you're requesting anything, sorry, words just left my brain. I don't think you're requesting anything unreasonable. Like, you just want someone to fill a position that was vacated. They can't expect you to do the work of 2 people. It's just not possible. And it sounds like you have something lined up for March or April. So, like, they're gonna have to deal with this at some point. They can either deal with it now and potentially retain a valuable employee, or they can have a bigger problem on their hands, right? That's what it sounds like to me. Disclaimer, Ghost is better about offering advice on this sort of stuff than I am. So if you want to have, like, a serious chat, send him a message. I know he won't mind. But, like, he and I are both big proponents in, at a certain point, you have to do what's best for you. And if you are, like, at your mental breaking point with this, it's not unfair to just be like, yo, you guys need to either hire someone to fill this position or hire someone that you think can do 2 people's jobs, because I can't do 2 people's jobs. I don't think that's unfair. But again, take care of yourself first and foremost. It doesn't sound like they can just straight up fire you, but you don't want to take the risk either, right? So, but you know your boss. I'm rambling now, I apologize. It's a sign of the fact that my brain is like, I don't want to write a story. But we're gonna turn on the 20-minute timer. I think we're gonna do 1 writing sprint. We'll see how well it goes. Hopefully not super awful. If it goes super awful, you guys will finally see that I don't always write as fluidly as I have been lately on stream. And then we'll make some tea. I have some candy cane tea left over from my samples that I opened on stream, my Dollar Tea Club samples. I drank the first one. It's going to be a second steep. It's not too bad. It's not my favorite. I don't keep a lot of mint teas on hand, but it was decent. So I'll brew that up and we'll have some chatty time while it's brewing. I have so much anxiety about this whole situation. I think it's a big part of the reason I'm getting sick and staying sick so often. It's a possibility, Bard, because stress does affect your body, and a lot more than I think people realize. It's 100% possible that it's preventing you from getting better because your body is stressed out and we're overworking overtime and not resting. And stress can make you sick. It can make you feel like you have a virus even when you don't have a virus. It can make you puke. It can make you dizzy. It can make you exhausted. People don't realize, but those are all things. Like, stress can manifest. Like, when I get really stressed out, I get physically cold. Like, my body will actually freeze and I will shiver, even if it's not cold, even if it's the middle of summer. If I'm very, very anxious about something, I will just freeze and shiver, and I'll wrap up in a blanket and it won't make any difference. So yeah, stress absolutely can do that to you. And I already have an immune disorder. Oh geez. So I think my immune system is also... That's possible. I mean, I'm immunocompromised as well. And I have been double, triple careful since the pandemic started, because no one really knows how effective the vaccine and stuff is if you have some kind of compromise to your immune system. Mine, I think, is relatively minor, because I haven't had a lot of symptoms, and my doctor has said that he thinks it's actually gotten better since we started monitoring my levels. But I don't want to take a risk, right? So yeah, it is 100% possible that you've hit your mental limit and now you're hitting your physical limit on top of it, which is tough. It's not a good place to be in. But just know that we support you, whatever decision you end up making, whatever, you need to do. I'm here for you. I'm rooting for you. I know Ghost is too. I know if you want his advice, he's 100% willing to take the time to chat with you about that sort of stuff. He's very good at communications. So I know that he won't mind me volunteering him if you send him a message on Discord, or even if you just let me know, I can tell him, hey, Bard wants to talk when you have a free minute or whatever. But you absolutely have to take care of yourself. And this, I know I'm saying this to Bard, but this goes to anyone who's in a shitty work situation. I understand if you can't just up and quit, but it's also not unreasonable for you to want to be treated like a human being rather than an asset. Like, you're not an object, you're not just a body, you're not just alive to hit the company's bottom line. Like, you have a right to feel fulfilled by your work and not feel like it's breaking your back. Sorry to just retcon your stream to Venom at my dumb job. No, it's absolutely fine. This is something that I get on my soapbox about because I've been there. My last real office job was for a consulting firm that decided to outsource my job to an island in the Pacific because it was cheaper. And they did all kinds of really shitty stuff to us, like they would put the new help desk lower in the phone queue, right? So we were priority, so we would always be on the call, taking the calls, doing the job, getting the feedback, getting the high feedback numbers, while the new people who were supposed to be taking our jobs, because we had already basically been told you're done in 3 months, were sitting there for hours on end, doing nothing, getting all the credit, getting the long-term hire contracts. And when an employee tried to call them out on that, the company was like, well, they're for Spanish support. And it's like, no, they're not for Spanish support. You're cooking your numbers so that you can prove that this is a good idea, even though it's not. And it felt like we were riding a sinking ship. It felt like we were riding a sinking ship all the way down to the bottom of the ocean. And it sucked. And I went from loving that job to loathing that job. And it was a countdown every day until I could get, like, I only stayed because I needed the unemployment. When we were at a point in our lives where when I left that job, if I didn't have another job lined up, which I didn't because we were moving to Quebec, I needed to have that small amount of income from unemployment. And that was why I stayed with it. And my last day there was a huge relief. So if it sounds like my dander's up and it sounds like I'm like on my soapbox, it's because that happened to me and it sucked, and you don't deserve to be treated that way. You also have the right to fight for your right to party. You do. You absolutely have a right to party all night and part of every day. Joke that no one's gonna get. Rock and roll all night and part of every day. So yeah, absolutely. Like, I feel like Indeed. Well, and there was an episode of, I think, Mad About You, where the guy lost his job and he came home and he thought that was the song lyric and he said it to his wife that he was going to rock and roll all night and part of every day, and she was like, oh, you sweetheart. You poor sweet thing. But in a post-COVID world where everyone's dealing with cuts in their jobs and where everyone's facing unrealistic expectations and potentially an inability to pay the bills if they have to, if their choice is pay the bills or walk away, I just feel like everyone needs to hear, you are not an asset. You are a human being. You deserve to be treated like a human being. And if you feel like your company is breaking your back and not treating you with respect, and you're not going to go anywhere with this job except get run into the ground, you're not crazy for wanting to change that situation. And I know so many people can't just change that situation or can't do anything to change the situation, but it's wrong for you to be treated that way. I think we live in a society that convinces us that we should be treated that way, like we should just put up with it because that's what everybody deals with, but absolutely not. Workers' rights are a thing for a reason. But I will get off my soapbox and do some words, because that's what we're all here for, is not actually to listen to me preach about society and why it's broken, but to actually write some words about a cat saying that a volcano is about to explode. We're here for the cat, the talking cat, and the volcano, so that's what we're gonna get. I put 20 minutes on the clock. Please feel free to keep talking in chat. Bard, vent as much as you want / need to. I'm 100% here for you. But I will be quiet for the next 20 minutes while I attempt to write some words. Attempt being the operative word here. I don't like this song, you know. It's almost over. Fine. I feel like it's mocking me. I don't like it. Oh my goodness, my fingers do not want to work right now. I've written more than 5 words, which I feel pretty happy about. something else I should have checked before I started working on this. Dislike this song. No beeping at me, please. Heard a loud noise, but it's my dishwasher. It is not Mr. Pepper coming home as I thought it might be. Roaming Witch, hello! Hop on stream and admit with a triad of furious typing. I got a slow start today and it's halting, so trying to make it happen. Also, how are you and what are you up to? Oh good, it's a break. I can figure out how I want to describe this in the next sprint. That was 864 words, not terrible. I feel like I should have done a little bit better with some of the prep that I actually did, but considering I thought that I might get 2 sentences in and completely freeze, it's going pretty well. you know, a cat, another guy, and another guy are having a teleconference about a volcano exploding. Seems like it's going pretty well so far. 800 words is amazing. What are you talking about? Yeah, I just, you know, I have unreasonable expectations for myself. Like I said, considering the fact that I thought I might get 5 sentences in and be like, I'm actually pretty decently happy with this. I don't really have a, unlike with my scenes where I usually have like a word expectation of like 2 to 4,000 words and also an idea of how many I expect it to be when I start. With my short stories, I don't really have an expectation, so it'll be as long as it has to be to do what I want it to do, which doesn't have to be very long. I usually aim for at least 1,000 words, but it doesn't necessarily matter. I basically just want it to feel like a fulfilling chunk of something. I'm not necessarily good at telling a whole story in 1,000 words or 2,000 words, but I basically want people to read this and feel like it has a beginning, a middle, and end. That is at least entertaining. I don't know if it's going to unlock any secrets of the universe. I certainly don't think it's going to. But so far, we have a cat warning someone that a volcano is erupting. Oh, we have weird, crazy antics involving thinly veiled alien presences. And now, not quite a spoiler, but now we're having a teleconference with the fire elemental. It's everything I wanted this scene to be, basically. I have no concept of what the point of this is or where it's going to end. We're just going to let my brain decide that. Roaming Witch, should I ask how you are? If not, how are you? If so, I'm asking again. I do that. I repeat myself a lot. I am going to pop AFK and put my tea on. So probably what I'll do... I think I've mentioned this before on stream, but sometimes I say something and then instantly forget that I've said it. So I say it again. So I apologize if I say the same thing like 4 times. But I'm going to pop AFK... AFK? Sure. Technically. And put on the kettle. That's the word that I think my brain was going for. So that I can make some tea. Words. I know. I've written a lot of words this week. So, like, you know. Just got home. Been working on a very indulgent scene the past few days. Ooh! I hope you've been enjoying it. I always feel guilty when I write indulgent scenes, but at the same time, they just feel so good to write. Words, indeed. It's late in the week also, so I've, like, used all my words, and now my brain is like, ugh, you want me to think of more words? What's wrong with you? Get out. Fun times. But it's because it's gonna take probably, like 4 or 5 minutes for this tea to steep, because it is a second steep. I need to give it a bit more extra time. So what I'll do is I'll pop AFK for just a quick, like, minute or two, get the kettle boiling, pour it over the tea leaves, come back and chat while it's steeping, and then I'll just do another quicker AFK to grab, my tea, so that we can have that for the next portion. I'm not sure how many sprints we'll end up doing today, because I don't know how long this will be, but hopefully we'll do 2 more. Hopefully it will A, be that long, and B, be that short, and C, there is no C, but I started to say it, so there you go. I will BRB. Please take this opportunity to stretch, grab a drink, what have you, and I'll be right back. Hello, I am back for 3 minutes while my tea steeps. It's full of hey-hoo tension, if you know what I mean. I think I do. I think the term we use around here is browse. Because there's an emote. We use browse. Hey Jenna, how are you? What are you up to today? Welcome to the stream. Also making tea? That's awesome. What tea are you making? I'm having a candy cane tea today from Dollar Tea Club. It's my second steep, so it might not have as much flavor as the first one, but it was pretty strong tea the first time, so I think it'll be pretty good. I don't usually drink a lot of peppermint tea, but candy cane is one of the few flavors that I can actually get behind. I think this is my last like Christmas flavored sample tea from all of my different services. I'm hoping that they'll start getting more into the spring teas. It might take a couple months with Dollar Tea because they do it monthly and David's Tea is quarterly. But I definitely should be due for my David's Tea spring teas soon. Which are much more my speed. It's called everything tea, but I forget what's in it. Interesting. Is it like a spicy tea? Is it like a fruity tea? I love tea, in case you can't tell. We talk about tea on here a lot. Was it Tempest who said this is actually a tea stream masquerading as a writing stream? Because he wasn't wrong. It has everything in it, of course. Yeah, I'm wondering if it's like all the spices or all the fruits. It would be weird if it was all of both, but hey, I would still try it. Totally. But this is like hopefully my last like Christmassy related tea sample. I still have more. There's enough in the Dollar Tea samples for more than one cup. So I still have more of this, but I've been trying to taste all of the tea samples that I've recently acquired. I have 3 that I haven't opened, and then Ghost Pepper has one, which will probably let me. I have a lavender mint, which I'll probably try next week. I have an oolong tea that I want to try from David's, but I've been putting it off because it has milk in it, and milky teas are hard for me to drink. And I have one called Nutcracker, which my mother-in-law sent me for Christmas. And then Ghost Pepper has a peppermint hot chocolate tea from the same place. I think it's called The Alchemists or something like that. It's somewhere in Ontario. I can see some chamomile. It's not fruity. Okay. My tea knowledge is not up to par. No worries. I mean, I don't necessarily know what's in every tea that I own, aside from if I look at, like, I have to look at the ingredients to know. I literally just peeked at the candy cane tea, so I know kind of what's in it because I just looked at the label. Peppermint hot chocolate tea, that sounds amazing. Yeah, I'm sure that his mom got that for him because he's not a big tea drinker. My husband does not drink as much tea as I do. He's sort of by proxy picked up a tea habit because of me, because I drink a lot of tea. But he does like some teas, like he likes like peppermint hot chocolate flavor. He likes really like chocolatey teas, and he likes blueberry teas. So we have a lot of like those kind of teas that he and I drink together. So his mom sent us each a tea, and that was the one she picked for him because it's a safe flavor, right? She knows that he likes the mint chocolate thing. We haven't tried it yet because Ghost is only around to drink tea at certain times. And I've been drinking... He vicariously drinks tea? Absolutely. For the longest time, like, he wouldn't drink any tea at all. And then he would have a couple sips of, like, if I was trying something new, if I was doing, like, my advent calendar or, like, just trying something new, he would take a couple sips of whatever I had. And then what happened was... in the advent calendars, there's usually enough tea for you to have 2 servings. And because I steep everything twice, it's actually 4 servings. So what would happen is I would give him one of the servings so that he could taste the tea if it sounded to his liking. And then that was sort of opened the gateway. And now that he has a more like defined which types of tea he's okay with, he will, if it's a flavor that it sounds good to him, he'll have that tea. And I have some teas that I keep around specifically. Like he likes the pumpkin chai, he likes the dark chili chai, that kind of stuff. Those are from David's Tea, but he'll actually drink anything pumpkin-y if it's not too clovey. And anything like blueberry flavored he seems to really like. But he doesn't like things that are like really herbal or really floral. A tea ambassador like you, if you have any questions about tea, Jenna, I will happily. I did do a whole stream where I talked about tea back in December. It was matcha because it was my advent calendar, but like I'm happy to give tea advice or answer tea questions. I'm one of those people who has the kettle that does different settings of boiling because of tea, because different tea leaves should steep at different temperatures. So do you notice a difference in flavor strength when you steep tea a second time? I've tried doing it once before, but it didn't turn out good. Yes. It's always going to be a slightly less flavorful steep the second time around. You can balance it a little bit by, and this takes some trial and error. If you know that you're going to get a lot of flavor off of your tea leaves, especially if you're doing it, this is all with loose leaf tea. I wouldn't necessarily try this with tea bags, because the strength of tea bags tends to be much less unless it's loose leaf tea specifically in the tea bags. You can always steep your first steep of the tea for slightly less. So if it says steep for 3 minutes, you can steep it for 2 minutes. Or if it says steep it for 5 minutes, you can steep it for like 3.5 or 4. And then you can steep your second steep for longer in order to get more flavor. As like right now, I'm giving this, one of the reasons why I drank this tea today was I knew I could give it a longer steep just by coming in here and chatting. St. John's wort, tropical rooibos, and chamomile. That sounds very interesting. And I don't think I have any teas that have St. John's wort in them. That is something I might have to look into. You and Uncle Iro would get along very well? Yes. Oh my god. I could just spend all the time with Uncle Iro. When in that scene where he tells what's his name? In that scene where he's like, this is just leaf water. And then Zuko, yes. I don't know why I couldn't think of his name. And then Zuko's like, isn't all tea just leaf water? And it's like, yeah, but there are levels, dude. That's me. Yeah, I'm definitely on the Uncle Iroh side of that conversation. And my husband is on the Zuko side to give you some idea of where we fall in there. Yeah, so if you're doing a second steep, you can try to do that where you do a shorter first steep and a longer second steep to give the tea more time the second time around to impart flavor. One thing to keep in mind is that the type of tea matters here. Black tea is really good at doing a second steep, and in fact it's really common in China, or so I've read, that people will just take the same black tea leaves and keep adding hot water to them. Like they'll just have a big container with a certain amount of black tea in it, and they'll just keep adding hot water to it throughout the day and actually just keep steeping the same tea leaves through the day, because black tea holds a lot of flavor. Obviously diminishing returns, and depending on how much tea you're using. You can also add just a little extra tea to the second steep in order to boost the flavor, and then just not steep that portion of tea again a second time. Green tea is fairly good at steeping a second time. Rooibos I've gotten mixed results with. Herbal tea, like, not herbal teas, fruity teas, so usually thought of as like herbal blends. Fruity teas are really hard to steep a second time because the fruit gives away all of its flavor on the first steep, and so if you've actually tried a second steep with a fruity tea, you probably have noticed this. How can a member of my own family say something so horrible? Oh, I miss Uncle Iroh so much. I loved that character. I think he is my favorite character in anything ever. And when he popped back up in Legend of Korra, it was like, but yeah. So fruity teas you usually can't get a second regular steep out of. You can sometimes get away with doing a cold steep, which is where you pour hot water in, let it cool down a bit, and put it in the fridge overnight for 10 to 12 hours. And then you can usually get an iced tea out of that, but it's still going to be weaker than the original tea. We're rewatching the show right now on Netflix. Oh, that's awesome. We haven't watched Avatar: The Last Airbender in so long. I feel like we could do with another watch of it. Because we do that from time to time because it's so good. It's so good. But I could just watch it all the time. But Critical Role show is coming, and I just watched their video. I just watched their video today about the cast, and had just this huge fangirl moment that luckily no one was around to witness. But I did text my husband about it. And yeah. I love that show. So yeah, it's hit and miss sometimes with the second steep, and sometimes the only way to find out what to do is just to trial and error. I would say if you steep the tea a second time and you taste it and it tastes like it doesn't have any flavor, always taste it like before you try to sweeten it or like add things to it so that you're not wasting anything but water. If you try to steep it a second time and it doesn't work, just throw it away and make a different tea. Like it's not... Then clearly it imparted all of its flavor, and it's just not going to steep again. So another thing is like with oolongs, they're like bound really tightly when you first put them into steep, and they unwind, like they puff out, expand as they're steeping. So try to stop your first steep when they're still partially... like they've only partially expanded, and then you'll have enough of that expansion for your second steep is another good way to tell. And then once the oolong has fully expanded, it's probably imparted all of its flavor, and it probably won't give you a strong flavor the next time. Probably had a fruity tea. I suspect you probably did. And honestly, if I want to steep my fruity teas a second time, I either add more of the original tea to it or another type of tea, or whatever to fill it out, because I just know that I'm not... Or I do the cold steep trick, but that doesn't work with every tea either, right? Because once it's given up all of its flavor, it's given up all of its flavor. So that's my recommendation for secondary steeps. It's definitely worth trying, because then when you find teas that you can steep more than once, you're getting more of your money's worth out of it, right? Also, keep in mind that, like, places like David's Tea or whatever, they're always going to tell you that you need more tea and that you can only get one steep out of it, because they want to sell you more tea, right? So, like, they tell you to use, like, 5 scoops for a pitcher of iced tea. I use 2. And I get a fine pitcher of iced tea. I just steep it for a really long time before I put the sugar and water in. Who are your favorite characters from each campaign of Critical Role? Let me go grab my tea before it oversteeps, which is a thing, and then I'll answer that question. I have not seen, actually, Campaign 1. I haven't seen Vox Machina, so I can't necessarily answer that, although I kind of really like the sound of Percy. But I can answer for the other 2 seasons, because I have seen those. So let me go grab my tea, and then I will allow myself to be distracted for a little bit longer, and then we'll write some more words. I'm back. Okay. I'm back. What were my favorite characters from each season of Critical Role? So as I mentioned, I haven't actually gotten to... I've watched like 5 episodes of Vox Machina, so I don't think I've really gotten to like the part where it actually gets good yet, because they produced the show completely differently when they first started versus by the time they got to campaign 2, which was where I started watching. So I only have, I think, a very sketchy idea of what each of the characters in Vox Machina is actually like. But based on the promotional material for the show, I feel like Percy's my guy. I feel like he's gonna be the one that I end up sort of liking the most. He's kind of the one that seems the most interesting to me. Although I will say I really like how Travis commits to playing Grog as like totally stupid. Like actually unintelligent, but thinking that he's intelligent. Like I really, really like that. So I think those would be my top 2. Taliesin just makes awesome characters in general. He does. My favorite from the Mighty Nine, Jester, 100%. And actually, I don't know if Flutter is still lurking right now, but one of the reasons why I love Jester so much is that she actually reminds me of my real life best friend, Flutterdye. I love her sense of adventure and that she just wants to like prank the hell out of everyone. And I love that one of the reasons she's so adventurous is that she wants to draw dicks on everything. So I feel like that's a thing that Flutter would do. I absolutely just, I loved her. I loved that she was, that she was so fearless and adventurous, but also like always, for the most part, cheerful. I really, really liked her. But very close second was Caduceus. I loved Caduceus. Again, Taliesin just nails it every time. I have the Caduceus t-shirt, because of course I do. I had to. I had to have it. But yeah, I just... And he does. I feel like Caduceus is my spirit animal because he's got a tea for everything. He's always talking to the plants and the animals. And he's just super... He has the super chill vibe that I want to have but don't have. So don't get me wrong, I also loved Molly, but Caduceus was just... if we had never gotten Caduceus, I think the world would be a sadder place. So those are my top 2 from campaign 2. And so far from campaign 3, I know they're not deep into it yet, but I think my favorite so far is Laudna. I really like that she's like... Molly was my favorite. I'm so sad we didn't get to see much of him. I know. I really did love Molly, and honestly, I think if it wasn't for Caduceus, I would have been heartbroken. Because I was heartbroken over Molly. But when I think back on it, a world without Caduceus, I just don't know if I could do that because Caduceus was so great. So it kind of made up for it a little bit. Not like fully, never fully, but kind of a little. But yeah, 3rd season, I love Laudna. I love that she's like dark and creepy, but also cheerful. Like I love that she sort of skirts the line between both. Like she tries to be friends with people and they're like, oh my god, you're so freaky looking, but she's not necessarily always trying to be creepy, but she embraces the creep when she wants to. And I like that she's a little bit crazy. Like I really like that. I feel like she sings to that crazy portion of my soul. And then everything that has come out of Travis's mouth so far in season 3, I feel, has just been sheer gold. So far. But I will say, I really like all the characters. I mean, I've always really liked all of their characters, but all of the characters in Campaign 3 are so interesting. I really want to know more about Ashton. I really want to know more about Fresh Cut Grass. I just heard my husband walk through the door. He's going to come in here and be like, you're talking about Critical Role. You're not writing. That's is happening. Chetney is pure chaos. I know, like, I love too how he gets on Dorian's case like all the time. Like everything out of Dorian's mouth, Chetney has like Chetney has a response to that, and it's like he can blame me, I'll happily take the blame. He'll blame me, but I appreciate it. He's super excited about Vox Machina as well. Like, he and I have been really hyped up for it. And when I saw, I mean, I guess this is a minor spoiler to anyone who hasn't watched the reveal of the cast for the Critical Role show, but when I got to the part where they revealed that David fucking Tennant does a voice in the show, I was like, I had to pause the video because I was like, oh my god, this is happening. This is a real thing. And then I turned the video back on and he was like, yeah, every show should just start in somebody's front room and then end up on television. Why not? And I was like, I didn't think I could love this man any more than I already love this man, but then somehow I always do. So that was like my big fangirl moment of the day today, was when I saw that video and I was like, this is the thing, I have been slain. So we're both super, super looking forward to that. And there's so many people in that cast to be excited about too, but that was the one that got me, was David Tennant. I tried to get into Vox Machina after watching Mighty Nein and couldn't get into it as much. Yeah, that's what kind of happened to me. And I actually watch a bunch of D&D shows. Speaking of D&D shows, my husband Ghost Pepper runs one on Twitch every Tuesday evening at 6:30 p.m. PST called The Winds of Chaos. We obviously don't have like the Critical Role production value, but he runs that. The players are Flutterdye, It's Wolf, and Cauliflumps, other members of the community. Join us for the chaos and windbagging, absolutely. So I obviously watch that. I also watch High Rollers. They are based out of Britain. They stream every Sunday. I usually end up watching both them and Critical Role on YouTube after the fact, because I just can't be around for all of the live shows that I want to be around for. And I also really, really love the Sunfall Cycle, which is on Jesse Cox's channel and on his Cox Clips on YouTube. Very, very homebrewed version of D&D, where the DM, Steven, I think he's Silent Osiris with a 0 on Twitter. He's basically taken D&D and turned it into Dark Souls. It's very cool, very interesting, shows you the versatility of like what you can really do with a game if you think outside the box, outside the normal D&D box. So I really love that. I'm behind in everything right now. I don't remember how I fell behind, but I fell behind in all my shows, and so I'm trying to catch up. But I do want to watch Vox Machina at some point. I'm kind of hoping the show will like light the fire under me and be like, okay, I want to see what it was originally. I think the Mighty Nein is just so more endearing, whereas Vox Machina feels like a bunch of people screwing around and getting in and out of their messes. I know of an artist who has a mouse guard version of D&D that looks adorable. Yeah, I've heard about mouse guard. I've never gotten to play it, but I've heard about it, and it looks adorable. I assume it's kind of sort of inspired by Redwall, which were books that I read when I was younger. Ad hit me, oh no. What did I say? I was basically just talking about the shows which I watch, which I can repeat if you didn't get to hear them. But yeah, I really would like to, like, I hope that after I watch the Vox Machina cartoon that I'll get into the original show more, because maybe I'll be more like emotionally invested in seeing what it was originally. But I do find it harder to get into because they don't go as into character in the opening episodes of that show. And they did have an extra cast member at the very beginning of Vox Machina who I'm not a big fan of. I wouldn't say that his presence, like, ruins the show for me, but I do feel like he talks over everyone constantly, and it annoys me a little bit. I know he leaves. I did look at, like, I was forewarned that there was an extra cast member before I started trying to watch it that wasn't around very long. And I know that his departure from the show was not, he didn't necessarily leave under the best of terms with the community, so I'm sort of aware of that. But I feel like if I skip to the part where he isn't around anymore, then I'll miss things that were maybe good things in the show. Citation needed for everything because I don't know all the details. I wasn't a fan of Critical Role until Campaign 2 started. I didn't know about it until then. Well, I knew about it, but I didn't, like, invest in it until then. But apparently there are rumors that he may have stolen money from a charitable donation that was made by a portion of the community. And so he's not really welcome with parts of the critter community anymore, from what I understand, from what I've heard very, very post the fact. That he had, I've also read that he had some things going on in his life that weren't great things. That was one of the reasons why he ended up doing some of those things and leaving the show. But yeah, so apparently there was some stuff that was going on in the background when he was around. But really the main reason why, just the main thing is for me is I just feel like he talks over everybody. Like, I feel like when I'm watching them try to get into something, he's always like, and everybody's played D&D with that person who's always like, who wants to do this? And he's like, oh, I can do everything. And it's like, okay, but there are like 6 other people with characters who also can do things, right? So it's just a little bit like, every time he talks over someone, there's a part of me that's like, dude, chill. You're gonna be okay if someone else talks for like 5 minutes. But like I said, I'm only like 5 episodes in. They ran the game completely differently back then. I feel like they eventually settled like deeper into characters and found a like smoother way of running and recording the show. So it's also a little bit of like, I know what the show turns into, so I'm looking backwards through time and being like, oh, it's just not as good at the beginning, which is true of everything. I mean, watch the first season of The Next Generation after you've watched the rest of it and you're like, oh yeah, this is actually not that great. So but yeah, I'm hoping, like I said, that the cartoon will give me the investment, the emotional investment in the characters that will make me want to watch past that stuff. Because usually once I'm invested in the characters, then I'm like, okay, I hardcore need to know everything about everything now, so give me all of the content. I think I'm not gonna go into BRB, but I think I'm gonna stick my head out in the hall, say hi to my husband, and then I think we have to do another sprint, because I think I've been streaming for 2 hours and only done one 20-minute sprint, and that's not very productive. Entirely my fault, but theoretically this is a productivity stream. I'm not gonna say hi to my husband because he vanished. Possibly down to his studio. But I heard him moving around and now I can't find him. So I guess that's a clue from the universe that I should just write more words. There he is! Hello, my love. I just tried to find you in the hallway upstairs here, and you were gone. I'm under your chair? I hope not. That would be creepy. If he was under my chair, he would be leaping out at me right now, so it's fine. Thank you so much for the support, sweetie, and for setting up this channel, for making it exist, because this channel would not exist if it weren't for my lovely husband and all the effort he went into setting all the stuff up for me. He set up my OBS. He fixes everything that I set up wrong. He's been my guide through basically everything, so thank you, sweetie. Sorry. Thank you, sweetie. I really appreciate it. Let's write some words. Also, how was your day, sweetie? And what are you up to? It was good. Is that the stream safe answer? Am I gonna afterwards hear about how chaotic it was? All right, I'm gonna turn on the for reals. I'm gonna turn on the timer. It was much calmer than the rest of the week. I don't know if I trust that, but okay. I'll find out at some point. Confession, this Dothnig guy that I'm writing right now speaks in Ghost Pepper's Liam voice. Just so you know. In my head, that's how he sounds. Your Liam voice from Monster Prom? Oh my goodness, I missed Lady of Troy 1880. Thank you so much for following. I hope you're still around. I'm so sorry I missed that. I don't know if I was AFK or not, but welcome to the stream. And let us know if you're still around, how you are, and what you're up to. And if you're lurking, no worries. getting on towards where I have to decide how I want to end this. Okay, timer up. We're just shy of 2,000 words here. Not bad. I think I did get a little bit more out that time. Where did I start? Right, it was here. So I didn't know how to describe that last time. 1,036, perfect, because we were under the 1,000 mark last time. As I sort of muttered to myself, I think I just need to figure out where I want to finish. Yeah, that was for the last sprint. For the whole thing, it's 1,900, as you can see down here in the corner. I need to decide where I want to end this. I don't think it's going to be a particularly, like, earth-shattering conclusion. I don't know that I need a full sprint timer either. I think I'm only a few paragraphs from the end. I think this one will be right around the 2,000 mark, so I probably only need, like, 100 or 200 more words to do it. I think what I'll do is, pop AFK just quickly enough to give my tea a tiny bit of a refresh and my brain a second to shake free. I think I know where I want to end this. I just sort of need to connect A to B, hopefully. Considering I had only the vaguest idea of what I wanted to do with this scene when I sat down, I feel like it's gone pretty well. I know it's not as productive as my productivity streams usually are, but the whole point of these is to be fun. So for anyone who missed the beginning of the stream, I'm doing a 22 stories for 2022. The idea is I'm borrowing some of the prompts from the 31 Stories in 31 Days project for January. The first prompt was a cat warning you that a volcano is about to explode, which is what we've written today, which has involved a video conference with a cat and a fire elemental, because why not? And they're just, the basic goal behind them is for them to fit into my multiverse in some way, even if it's not necessarily clear right now how they fit in. I think I've fulfilled also keeping all of the main characters as cameos. There's none of them are in this scene, so I think I've hit all the criteria. I just need to sort of stick the landing, as it were. So yeah. Also, let's have a stretch because we haven't in a while. Free stretch. Oh, that feels good. All right. So 1 minute, I do pop AFK, and then I'll hopefully be back to shake off the cobwebs and just decide how this should actually go. I'm back. I think I've got an idea for how I want this to end. As I suspected, I don't think it will take a full sprint. I might actually just use my 5-minute timer and see if I can get it done in 5 minutes. I don't know if that's foolhardy, but I don't know if I want to turn on the other timer if I'm not gonna let people use the whole thing. Let's go for it. Let's just see what happens. When you need to get up and use the restroom, but you have a cat on your lap? Oh no! There's no way to convince the cat that you just need a minute. Why do so many of these songs have that beeping alarm sound in them? Alright. I think I went a little bit over the 5 minutes, but no worries, because that is where we're gonna end it. So yeah, just an extra 297 words, so 300 words basically to the end there. 2,197 all total, almost 2,200 words for our 22 stories for 2022. Yeah, I'm happy with that. It's just a silly, crazy little thing. Just written for fun. It doesn't really have a deeper meaning, but it does fit into my multiverse. I'm pleased with it. So that's it for me today. I think that's it for me this week, actually. At some point, I probably would like to try more than 3 streams a week, but for now, I think it's what works best with my schedule. Next week, I'm only going to schedule 2 streams, because I got some stuff going on that might make it harder to stream later in the week. And I don't want to promise to do something that I might not be able to do. So, I definitely will be streaming. I think Monday and Tuesday morning next week, we'll do, 10 a.m. time slots, because they'll fit what I'm working on the best. That'll be with my Aravalia Chronicles. And that'll ensure that I'm able to get at least 2 streams in before anything gets crazy, which it's likely to, whether I like it or not. So if you want to hang out with me some more, I'll be back on this channel on Monday morning at 10 a.m. Working on my novel some more. I also will be on the lovely Ghost Peppers channel. Zeros Pepper. I will be hanging out with my husband on Saturday night around, I believe it's 8 o'clock PST we usually start. Playing some Stellaris with Ghost Pepper and Wolf. We just started a new game. I'm basically trying to panic take territory from the AIs so that I can be a ginormous space empire, which is what I like to be. And of course, as usual, there's not a single AI near my husband who actually wants to be near them. Space, love, and aliens? Exactly. Good writing and chatting with you. Have a good weekend. You too, Roaming Witch. Thank you so much for sticking around. I know there wasn't as much productivity today as there usually is, but it was fun. I had such a good time chatting with everybody. And sometimes you gotta just have a little bit of fun. It's not always about, like, sticking to a schedule or... I mean, we did write some words, so... I promise I will be a little bit more productive on Monday and Tuesday, but we'll still try to keep it fun. We got to chat TV shows. I'm happy. Yeah, it was, and we chatted about some tea as well. So it's nice. You gotta have days where you don't push the brain too hard. And definitely my brain was at the point where it was like, I want something light, please, and we did it. So I'm super happy. We will drop a raid here in a second. I will take a look at who is around. Just a reminder for anyone who missed the beginning of the stream, this is a prompt that's up on my blog already. This ties in with what I wrote today, as well, in case anybody wants to check that out. Eventually, this will also go up on my blog, but I do have a bit of a buffer, so it will take a little bit of time. There's not a lot of tea chat, so it was a fresh change of pace. Tempest, I'm sensing that you're not really a tea drinker. I think maybe you might not drink tea. Is that accurate? I can help you with that. I cured Ghost of that ailment. She says while drinking tea. I do drink tea. Oh, okay. Well, then I guess you don't need to hear me talk about tea as much because you already appreciate tea. Chai tea is a great way into the great gateway into the realm of tea, especially because there are so many different types of chai teas. I have one from David's Tea that I really like called Saigon Chai. Very spicy. Let's see who is around. Oh goodness. We do have some options of people who are writing. So Sable is on. It looks like she's planning on doing some sprints, so we might drop over there. She might be a little bit more productive than I was today. Flannel is playing Super Auto Pets? What's that? Let's see, Sassy is on, doing some sprints as well. I just like to check who all is around because I like to drop in on someone who maybe has a less active chat. I love that game. My fiance got me addicted to it. Oh, okay. Is it like, I'm assuming it's not like Pokemon because he has a comment in his thing about how it's a weird, they wear hats. I might have to check that out. And Travis is up as well. So we've got Travis is up, Kahuna's up, Sassy's up, Sable's up. I think we might drop in on Sassy because it's been a while since I dropped in on her, and I think she may have been wrapping up the last time I did. She's got a nice chill vibe going on. So we'll drop over there. Have a great weekend, everybody. Thank you so much for hanging out and chatting with me. It's always a pleasure to get to hang out with all of you. I will be around on Discord, on Twitter, all that kind of stuff. So if you ever want to chat with me, check me out. I'll just do the Discord quick. It's actually Ghost Pepper's Discord, the Pepper Patch, but I do have my own section there. Everyone's welcome to come hang out and chat in any of the sections. And thank you so much. Smiley day. Absolutely. Let's drop that raid. And just before we go, we will end with our write tip as always. Even if you write for a living, not everything you write has to be serious. It's important to write for fun sometimes, and you can always use your fun stuff for your blog, your newsletter, extras in the back of your books, that sort of stuff. And that's what we did today. We just had some fun. It was super nice, super refreshing. It didn't feel like a lot of pressure. I'm really actually happy with what I wrote today. It just felt super good. So thank you for being a part of that. Thank you for letting me ramble and for giving me the space to just have some fun. Like me in Hey Who tension writing? Exactly. If it clears your mind and refreshes you, it's absolutely worth it. Take care, everyone. Goodbye, Woof. I'll talk to you later, Woof. And I'll talk to you all next week.
I just started not too